What's up, everyone? It's Q from Retro Q Gaming, and despite all odds, the planets have aligned, the Ark of the Covenant has been opened, and Julian Assange has been found. And what am I talking about? Final Fantasy 15 is officially released. It actually exists, and it's actually been released to the public. So, on top of all of that, okay, the main thing I want to talk about is the early, I don't really call them performance issues. Let's just call them the current state of the game. Now, I have Final Fantasy 15. I have Final Fantasy 15 Ultimate Collector's Edition on PS4. It arrived yesterday on launch day at around lunchtime. I have not played it. I have not played it. And the reason why I have not played it is because I am an absolute idiot who makes poor life choices based on impulse and hates myself. I went out and bought a PS4 Pro a few days ago. Because, again, I'm a fucking idiot. So I bought the PS4 Pro on Monday, despite last week making up my mind to not do it until the Final Fantasy 15 stuff had come out. And then I was there, I don't agree with it, but it was a pretty poor choice by me, but either way. So I haven't played Final Fantasy 15 in any way, shape, or form on the PS4 or PS4 Pro, well, except if you include the demos. But anyway, the actual important thing I want to talk about is the current state of the game. It seems as it is at the moment, Xbox One and PS4 Pro both beat out the standard PS4 version, which is strange because most of the time your PS4, your base PS4, will beat your Xbox One, and obviously your PS4 Pro will improve on all of that. So I'm gonna really quick. I'm gonna touch on the reasons for this. Is the Xbox One version? It uses a dynamic resolution scaler. I found no reference to the actual base PS4 version using this. I know it. I believe it did in the Platinum demo, but as far as I can find anywhere, that there's no indication that it uses it in the PS4 version of the game. So the Xbox One uses the dynamic resolution scaler to keep the frame rate pretty steady, and most of the time, a significant, I was going to say serious, a significant portion of the time, it's a solid 30 FPS. Now I'm not going to say a smooth 30 FPS because, buttery smooth 30 FPS, lol. That's the ongoing internet joke. But anyway, yeah, so it uses the dynamic resolution scaler to keep a better frame rate, as the scene heats up and it shows more and more things going on, more and more effects, shadows, lights, blah blah blah. It'll obviously drop the resolution a little bit to keep the frame rate up. There are, from what I understand, a few dips here or there, not quality wise, sorry, I should say, frame rate wise, that you won't see in the other versions, but overall apparently it's a lot more stable. Now, the reason why I get to that is because the base PS4 version, I was going to say the base PS4 Pro, the base PS4 version seems to run at solid 1080p. Like I said, I haven't found any indication anywhere that there's a dynamic renderer used for the base version, and that apparently runs like ours. So there's these things called frame timing. It's kind of tied to frame rate at the same time. If one is off, the other will naturally be off as well. And because of that, it can give you pretty poor all over the place performance. So even though it may technically be running at 30 FPS some of the time, apparently, by the way, it runs at 30 FPS a lot less than the Xbox One version. But yeah, so you know the deal because of all of that. But you do get the trade-off that sometimes the frame rate or the timing of the frames can actually be all over the place. So even if you are getting 30 FPS, a constant 30 FPS in, say, an easy environment or whatever, the timing can make it juddery and kind of jerk around. And because of that, it severely impacts performance, especially in a game that's a heavy action role-playing game like this is. So that's a curious issue. Hopefully it all gets ironed out for PS4 users. Maybe there'll be an update to help Xbox One improve a bit better, I don't know. But given the fact that the game has been in development for about 10 years, was delayed 2 months to put in significant more of optimization and just a couple of other things as well, and then had an extra day one patch that they were originally trying to avoid, it really, I really think that as far as at least the Xbox One version, they've pretty much hit a wall. I think with the PS4 version, the base PS4 version, they may be able to fix the timing, probably not increase the frame rate, but probably fix the timing a bit better. But maybe it's tied to something else. Maybe it's tied to, something else behind the scenes that, when you take into consideration all the graphic settings and all, they allegedly use some sort of minor VSync. So it could all be tied down to that, and it could be not possible to be improved without a serious overhaul. But then you look at the PS4 Pro versions. So there's two versions at the moment available to the PS4 Pro, with a third version coming soon. The third version that will be coming soon and be patched into the game for free at some point in December is the 1080p 60 FPS mode. So apparently, as far as the little bit we know about the 1080p 60 FPS mode, is that in December, when it gets patched in, the game will run at base PS4 graphical settings. I'll get to that now in a minute, but it'll run at the base PS4 graphical settings with a solid 1080p. Like I said, the whole dynamic renderer thing on PlayStation is kind of up in the air at the moment that I've been able to find. And you'll get a 60 FPS cap on there. I don't think it will maintain a solid 60 FPS the entire time. I think it will shoot for 60 FPS, hit it maybe 60 or 70% of the time, and will vary and fluctuate wildly between like 40 and 60 FPS the entire time, which makes me an idiot for buying a PS4 Pro, but what can I say? I have no self-control and I hate myself. Anyway, moving back to the existing two PS4 Pro modes. So there are, like I said, there's two PS4 Pro modes as it is at the moment. You can use what's essentially we'll call it the 1080p quality setting, and then the 1080p light setting. So the quality setting will actually checkerboard render the game at 1800p. Now, one thing I hate about all these analysis that you find out there is when it comes to the PS4 Pro and the whole checkerboarding thing, a lot of places won't tell you specifically if they're checkerboarding up to 1080, or let's say we'll use Final Fantasy 15 for an example. It's 1080p or 1800p checkerboard, but the same numbers just in a different order. It's throwing me off. Now, it doesn't tell me if that's using the upscaling to get to 1800p, or if it's natively rendering at 1800p and then checkerboarding up from there. So that's some things, because some games do it differently. So that's why I find all this very frustrating. It's a detail that's left out a lot. So either way, let's call it checkerboarding to 1800p. We're not going to worry too much about what version it is. It's essentially higher quality regardless. So it checkerboards to 1800p while using slightly better shadows. There was a couple of ones in there. There's more quantity and quality of foliage, I believe it is, and better shadows. I think I saw something about draw distance in there as well. That part, to be 100% accurate, just does escape me, so I will give a little kind of disclaimer on that part. But yeah, you get the idea. So if you run the quality setting, you're super sampling from 1800p down to, or checkerboard at 1800p with improved graphical settings, blah blah blah, all down there a bit. Now, because of that, the game frame rate does suffer a bit more. It doesn't suffer from the timing issue that the base PS4 version has, but it suffers from just straight up dropped frames. So, that's a little bit of a trade-off. And then when we look back at the light version, the other version that's currently available, because don't forget, the quality version that we just talked about is available now on PS4 Pro. The 1080p 60 FPS is not available yet. It'll be available at some point in December, like we already said. And then you look at the other version that is available now, which we'll call the light version. So what this does is this will pare the graphical settings back. So instead of using the enhanced shadows and the draw distance and the foliage and whatever else improves, it sticks the game at 1080p. There's no super sampling from this one. So it's not checkerboard 1800 or anything like that. It's straight up 1920 by 1080. 30 FPS cap. and it uses the base PS4 graphical settings. So if you turn on the PS4, it's going to look the base PS4, it'll look exact same as the light version on the PS4 Pro. However, it uses all that extra power to keep the frame rate at 30 FPS 99% of the time. So for the majority of the game, the performance is significantly improved. And as with the checkerboarded super sample version, the light version does also not suffer the timing issue. So it's only the base PS4 that suffers the timing issue. So if you have a PS4 Pro, I would currently suggest you use the light version. If you want to play Final Fantasy 15, and if you are going to play it, I would currently suggest using the light version mode, or whatever you want to call it, to use the same graphics but have a much better frame rate, because that's going to give you a better experience, especially in an action-heavy, action-orientated, fast-paced game like Final Fantasy 15. Personally, I'm still waiting for the 1080-60 patch, and we'll see how that goes. I've wasted my money on the PS4 Pro. I have the Ultimate Collector's Edition, as I've said already, and I'm waiting. I'm going to wait about 2 weeks before I get to play it, so because that's the thing I'm hoping for. That's the 1080p 60 is what I'm hoping for. So hopefully in action games, especially because we all know Final Fantasy 15 has had numerous camera moving issues, as well as frame rate issues the whole time, even since the first demo, even since 2.0 of the first demo, and even since the second demo as well. There's been nothing but... I haven't played the third one, the Judgment one, because obviously it's Japanese only. I can't be bothered making the account. But you get the idea. So that's why I've been waiting for that one. We'll see how it goes anyway. Let me know if you currently are playing it and what you think of the issues, what you're playing it on, or how you think it should have been handled. If you're waiting for it, or just anything related to Final Fantasy 15, anything to do with the frame rate or the timing or the resolution, the graphics, the settings, whatever. Let me know all that in the comment section below. I'm hoping the game is good. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. You can follow me on Twitter. Details in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the rest of the videos in my channel.